Okay, good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. I'm Reverend Jessica, the minister at Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. This morning, we are once again on Zoom webinar. We'll be using Zoom webinar from now on for worship, and I hope that it's been working for you. Just a reminder for those who are new, this is a little different than Zoom meeting, because in webinar, you all can see the worship leaders, myself and Rosemary Dougal today, but you can't see one another and we can't see you. And that's okay. For the next hour, that's the way it's supposed to be. You'll get the opportunity to see one another's faces after the service at our coffee hour, and I'm going to put the link and the password, you need a password, in the chat. So feel free to interact on the chat. Make sure if you want everyone to see it that you're sending it to panelists and attendees, not just the panelists. Rosemary and I will be monitoring the chat. I invite you all to follow along in the order of service. I'm going to put that in the chat as well, that link. And if you are phoning in today, welcome. I want to make sure that you can attend the coffee hour after the service as well. So the number to call is the same number that you used to call into the webinar, but the meeting ID is different. The meeting ID. So if you're here by phone or if you can't access the chat, we're still so glad you're here. We are with you. We're glad you're with us. Now please settle in. As we begin with our musical call to worship, Spring Has Now Unwrapped the Flowers, performed by the super talented Elena Hemingway and our music coordinator and accompanist, Brian Kenny.
Spring has now unwrapped the flowers, day is fast reviving, life in all her growing powers, toward the light is striving, from the iron touch of cold, springs the new leaf tender. Bursting forth in green and gold, glory in its splendor. Herb and plant that winter long slumbered at their leisure, now be stirring green and strong, find in growth their pleasure. All the world with beauty fills, gold the green enhancing. Flowers make glee among the hills, and the meadows dancing.
Good morning. Welcome to the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you have come from, or whatever your comfort with modern technology, for this hour, we here are one gathered congregation and all are welcome. My name is Rosemary Dougal and I serve on the worship committee as well as the welcoming and membership committee. Our worship leader this morning is our minister, Reverend Jessica Starr Rocker. I'd like to welcome any visitors. Please introduce yourself in the chat section. We welcome more interaction with all during our after-service coffee hour. The announcements are on our webpage, kuuf.org, or our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. And now you are invited to light a personal chalice or candle in your home as we read these chalice lighting words. We give thanks for life reborn. We give thanks for joy to overcome loss and pain. We give thanks for the earth as it blooms its renewal. We give thanks that all living things are revived. As a sign of our gratitude, we light this chalice to welcome all new songs of life. Please join in singing our opening hymn. The words will appear on the screen video.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, suddenly from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Please join me in our spoken affirmation. The words are on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and mind the creative power that sustains and transforms us. And now it is time for our morning offering. Please click on the PayPal link in the chat section. You may email tanisha.smith@kuuf.org to let us know if your donation is for the KUUF General Fund, the Minister's Discretionary Fund, which helps our own members in need, or our monthly charitable giving recipient. You may also send a check to the address on the screen. If this is your first time at KUUF, please let the basket pass by not contributing, as you are our guest. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many of us.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free. Tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in
Okay, well, in our in-person worship services, this is the time in the service when we usually invite the children forward to sit in the front of our sanctuary. So for the next few minutes, all you children, you young and young at heart, I invite you to sit a little bit closer. Today, as you may know, we are celebrating Easter, and some of you may have gotten an Easter basket this morning or some treats, or maybe in your house you celebrate something different. The holiday Easter is a Christian holiday. Actually, people often wear their Easter bonnets. I'm going to put on my Easter bonnet today with bunny ears. The holiday Easter and a Christian holiday celebrates the resurrection of Jesus, but like all good Christian holidays, it also has some pagan roots as well. So at this time of year, pagans celebrate Eostre, which is an ancient spring festival named for a goddess who represents the dawn. Now, the bunny rabbit is the sacred animal of Eostre, and there are a lot of mythical stories about how this came about. But here's one that I heard, and with the help of a friend, I'm going to share it with you. So once upon a time, the animal kingdom gathered together for a meeting in a flurry of great excitement. There was to be a very special party, and a very special guest was coming to visit. The very special guest was none other than the goddess herself, and every creature wanted to give her a very special gift. Now, some of the animals were very rich and some were very poor, but off they went to prepare their gifts, for only the very, very best would do for the goddess. Now, Bunny Rabbit, you can see Bunny Rabbit here, was very excited. He dearly loved the goddess, and although he was very poor, he had a big, generous heart, and he was going to give her the finest gift he could find. So Bunny rushed home to see what he could find to give to the goddess. He looked everywhere, in the cupboards and under the bed, but there was nothing. Even the refrigerator was empty. He had absolutely nothing to give her, except for one thing. On the shelf, in the fridge, was a single egg. And that was it. That was the only thing that he had left. So Bunny gently took the egg out of the fridge, and he lovingly decorated it and took it to the party. Now, Bunny was very worried because all the other animals gave their gifts of gold and silver and precious jewels, and all that Bunny had was the egg. Eventually, all the gifts had been given, and Bunny was the very, very last. And Bunny very shyly presented the goddess with the egg. She took it, and she looked at him and saw the true spirit of a bunny. And there and then, the goddess appointed the bunny rabbit as her very special animal, because Bunny had given away everything that he had. And that is one story of how the bunny rabbit became the Eostre, or Easter bunny. So thank you, Bunny Rabbit. And maybe you can help me sing this song, because we're going to sing the song that we sing every week during our online services. And I'll try to keep my hat on for this song to remind ourselves, adults and children, to let our chalice lights shine. And I've got my group here as well today, William and Liam. Okay, this little light of mine. And pay attention, because it's Easter, the lyrics are going to be a little bit different today. We'll start with this little light of mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around my home. All around my home. I'm gonna let it shine. All around my home. I'm gonna let it shine. All around my home. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Like sunrise. Like an Easter sunrise, I'm gonna let it shine. Like an Easter sunrise, I'm gonna let it shine. Like an Easter sunrise, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you, Easter Bunny. Thank you, Liam and William. Okay, I'll take off my hat. Now is the time for our joys and our sorrows. Thank you all for singing along with us for that. Though we are physically distanced from one another, our hearts and our spirits remain connected. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. If you have a particular joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to put it into the chat this morning. I have a joy this morning of being with my family on Easter. And I have a sorrow thinking about all the folks, essential workers, gratitude though for them, for all that they are doing and putting themselves in harm's way for all of us. Oh, Bonner says, joy for continued Wi-Fi and cellular coverage. Jane Kornman says, I miss our son. Lisa and Mac have a great joy. Today is Scooby's second birthday. Happy birthday, Scooby. Oh my goodness. He is a complete joy to us and to others every single day. I agree. Happy birthday, Scooby. Joy. Today is Liz's birthday. Much love to you, Liz. Happy birthday, Liz. Liz shares a birthday with Scooby. This is a great day to be born. Oh, Hazel. Hazel has a sorrow for Daddy not being home today. We are with you, Hazel. Tess, I have an amazing joy to come to this church for the first time. Welcome, Tess. We're so glad that you are here. Joe Walter, grateful that Mom is home and for all of the generosity and support we have received from this community. I'm so glad that your mom is home too, Joe. Blessings on your mom. Oh, Bunny says today is Matthias's parents' 34th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to Matthias's parents. They are such a joy in Bunny and Matthias's lives, and the little baby Rowan too. From Ellie, one joy is that Hobie has returned from Tucson. Welcome back, Hobie. Also that my family is well. We're so glad. Bonner says blessings to Joe and Pat. Well, thank you everybody for sharing your joys and sorrows. Deborah has a sorrow. My former mother-in-law is in the hospital in New York City now on a ventilator with COVID-19. She's been a wonderful mother-in-law, grandmother, mother, and person. Deborah, we're holding your mother-in-law in our hearts right now. Thank you everyone for sharing. May you who shared this morning feel the love of this community surrounding you and holding you close. And for all of those whose joy or sorrow is too tender to share, our hearts are with you. May the spirit of life and love bring peace to us all. Amen, and blessed be.
why I wake early. Hello, sun in my face. Hello, you who make the morning and spread it over the fields and into the faces of the tulips and the nodding morning glories, and into the windows of even the miserable and the crotchety. Best preacher that ever was, dear star that just happens to be where you are in the universe to keep us from ever darkness, to ease us with warm touching, to hold us in the great hands of light. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness, in kindness.
Well, so several years ago, when I was serving Eagle Harbor Congregational Church on Bainbridge Island, I preached the Easter sunrise service. My family and I woke at dawn and met about 30 stalwart souls on the chilly beach for songs and food and communion. It was the first time I ever preached with my homily in one hand and a cup of hot coffee in the other, while wearing fluffy orange mittens, which was probably the weirdest thing that I had worn up until maybe the last couple weeks, which would probably now be pajama bottoms, but that's another story. So for that service, on that Easter, I preached about the risen Christ. As a child, I was raised to believe that Jesus was everywhere all the time. It might sound unsettling in some ways, but to me it was reassuring. To me, it meant I was loved and cared for, that I was never alone. The Jesus that had died on the cross became the Christ, a cosmic love that had transcended death and immersed the world, inhabiting all things. It was evident that Easter sunrise on the beach as the sun rose over the steam from my coffee, as my husband and child stood next to me on each side, keeping me warm. I felt surrounded by love. And in that moment, I felt I understood what it meant, that the man was dead, but the Christ was everywhere. Leave the tomb of your suffering and rise. Bring love with you into all things. Well, this week, as I prepared for Easter, I will admit to you that I was struggling with bringing love into all things. I was deep in the tomb of my suffering. Illness and death have taken hold of the world, have taken hold of our country, of people I know and love. And I was feeling tired and sad. But it was warm and sunny in my backyard all week. And on Wednesday, I lit a fire in our backyard fire pit, and I played all my favorite records, and I stared at the smoke as it rose up into the treetops, the sunlight and the smoke mingling together. And I thought, how will I transcend this moment? How will I find the strength to roll away the boulder, to leave this tomb and rise again? It's like this from time to time these days. For some of us, this happens every morning. For some, it happens at night. Some of us are so used to keeping calm and carrying on that we haven't stopped to indulge our grief. For fear, if we spend too much time in the tomb, we might get stuck there. So we allow ourselves 30 minutes every afternoon to lose hope. And then we turn off the TV and do the laundry or make dinner or walk the dog. And we keep moving and we rise again. In this way, every day, in the simplest ways, we are celebrating Easter. Every time we decide to get up out of bed, every time we decide to go for that walk, every time we look in the cupboard and think, I don't need to go to the store. I've got enough to make something with what I have here. Every time we sit down at our sewing machine and make masks, or drop off food for a neighbor, or go to the front porch and bring in the food that a neighbor has dropped off for us. Every time we pick up the phone and call a friend. Every time we turn on the TV and every time we turn it off. Every time we go on to the next thing. We celebrate Easter and we rise again. Because the good news that comes from Easter is that the story doesn't end when we roll away the stone and rise again. The Sisyphean resurrection we are caught in is just a piece of this moment. The transcendent part is the love, which is not held as an individual. Theologian Richard Rohr says, it is not love if it doesn't connect you to the universal. We are never alone in our tomb, though it might feel that way. We are always and everywhere connected to something universal, part of the interdependent web, part of a cosmic reality. And there it is again, that universal love. When we choose to take another breath, to take a pause, and then keep breathing, and keep trying, and keep loving, and keep rising. So I will tell you why I am obsessed with baby animals. Well, animals in general, but particularly the baby ones. And this is the truth. The responsibility that I feel in caring for them helps me put myself aside. When I am sad and tired, but my animals need me, I somehow find a way to get up, to rise again, and to care for them. Make sure they are fed, to make sure they have everything they need. I love them not only for how precious they are to me, but also because of what they bring out in me. The ability to transcend myself, to get on with things in the service of love and life. I knew when I got those hatching eggs a month ago that I would have to get up every day and care for them and keep them alive. It wakes me up to that universal love, and it inspires me. And it is part of what drives my call to ministry as well. My love for this community and for all of you keeps me going and gives me purpose and helps me every morning to carry on, to keep loving, to keep rising. And I have seen how this works in your lives as well. Your connection to this community and to one another inspires you, motivates you, and makes this time of physical separation bearable. How nice it would be if we could all be together this morning in person. But how magical that we have all showed up here online, because the odds are against it, considering how uncomfortable most of us were with this technology at the beginning of all this. And yet here we are, our board, our committee chairs, our worship team on a fascinating learning curve. Our resilience, our superpower on display. This community knows all too well how to keep loving and keep rising. And together this morning, we can celebrate the joy of Easter, knowing that we're not just a building. Our fellowship is everywhere, with us wherever we are, a loving, living kinship who will continue to rise, who will continue to choose hope and life and love. Things will not be the same after this. Resurrection is messy and transformative. Afterward, everything is different. But the promise of Easter, the promise of spring, is the promise of a transcendent, transformative love, a love that is everywhere all the time, a love we are not alone. May that love blossom in you today, tomorrow, and all the days ahead in large and small ways. May love be born and reborn like the sunrise, like the dawn. Each and every day, may we once again leave the tomb of our suffering and rise and bring love with us into all things. So I invite you now to set an intention and choose your word for the week ahead. One word. And if you feel called to put it in the chat, I will read them aloud. My word for this week is rise. And that was John Prine who was singing that song. Rebecca, strength, honor, transcend, strength, transcend, craft. Oh, I like that one. Forgive, forgive. Routine, recover, preserve. Centered, Amelia says love. Resilient, patience. Gratitude, care, keep on. Forgive. Deep love. Grow, I like that, grow. Fortitude. Self-love. That's a good one. Love from JPEG. Hi, JPEG. Well, thank you, everyone, for sharing your intentions. We're going to sing one more hymn, our closing hymn, which is Lo, the Earth Awakes Again. Okay, I have my bonnet back on for the day. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Let us extinguish our chalices. Please join us after this for coffee hour. The link and the password I'm going to put in the chat right now. And I'm going to give you, there's going to be a screen at the end of this that will have it on it too, so there'll be ample time for you to write this down. If you're calling in on the phone, I'm going to tell this one more time. Call in the same number that you use to access 43451 134, and the password is 361933. 36193. You need all those numbers. So have a wonderful and happy Easter today. May you find simple moments of rebirth and renewal. May you connect with the love of this community. It is with you all the time. The love of this community is with you all the time. So keep loving and keep rising. Amen, and blessed be.